to the Digital Ascent podcast. This is episode 0000. We hope you enjoy.
This is the first episode slash recording of the Digital Ascent podcast. Welcome all. Welcome. I'm really excited, and I'm fearful that my excitement to be finally doing this will jumble my words. So, gentlemen, feel free if I start to sidetrack or tangent to just rein me back in here, okay?
We will.
You're already doing it.
I know, I'm already doing it. So I guess we start from the beginning. We start from square one.
Right.
I was originally approached by Mr. Papa Brent a few weeks back, and he had brought the idea of Digital Ascent to me, and he said, "Hey, Jordyn, would you be interested in sitting together with a bunch of the guys and doing a podcast? And we want to talk about tech, and Matt's he's going to be a part of it, and he's super into like cybersecurity, so we're going to have kind of a little bit of IT in there, and you're super passionate about tech and video games and all those things as well, and I think we'd all be happy to have you a part of it." And again, this is like the third time I've told this story, and I'm paraphrasing it again. It's different every time. I'm like the Heath Ledger Joker, and I love it. It's great. But I mean, Brent brought it over to me, and I was super excited, and we had our first meeting last week, and we're finally doing it. I don't feel like I gave enough context, so I'm going to lean on Brent and Shaun here, and Matt as well, because all three of these gentlemen were in the loop well before I got here. But what are we doing here, guys? What's Digital Ascent? What are we about? What's the MO here?
I guess I'll jump in if you like, as long as my voice lasts. So, for me, Digital Ascent was about getting together what I've been phrasing anyways as a group of intellectuals. I've worked with all of you guys in one capacity or another. We're all passionate about IT, passionate about gaming, all the subjects that have already been mentioned here. And it's just about getting everybody together to discuss those things, to share their experiences with them, to share their opinions, to share some facts, to share some, research that we found in the industry. All of us have, I think combined, we probably have some significant amount of years in the industry, just ourselves. So it's really about bringing all that together and kind of making you guys, the listener, a part of that, and feeding off you guys a little bit as far as, some questions and concerns and subject matter that comes from our viewership, our listenership, or whatever you want to call that, listenership. And then, we're also going to tie that into our forums, our website, our Discord, all that good stuff, and make it one big digital community, if you will. I was going to say tech, but it's a little bit more than tech.
It really is, and I think that's the way I was trying to think of it. Like when I was given the synopsis, right? I was trying to think like what is the how do I say this? Because it's going to get really weird trying to lump in that tech and then IT and then all the niches that go into that and then video games and maybe there's some other stuff we want to cover. And Brent, I think it is, man, what a the Digital Ascent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all encompassing. Okay, so Shaun, I mean, I think this is a good segue. I think what we've effectively started already just off the rip is like, hey, what does Digital Ascent mean to everybody so far? And I mean, we've got Brent's take, we got a little bit of my take. Shaun, like, when you were approached initially, and I don't know how that worked between, you and Brent or who approached who, but what is your, reason? Like, what is this to you? You know what I mean? What are we doing here?
So initially it started as I had been toying with the idea of doing a podcast anyway, and a lot of what kept me from doing it is just the vast amount of work it takes to do that on your own. And not to say that I wouldn't do it, at all.
Sure.
But me and Pete play games all the time. We play games with each other pretty frequently, all of us actually. But we were just chatting one day, and I said, man, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. And I actually bought the mic I'm speaking with from Eden, which is kind of how it started. But he goes, man, why don't we all do it? I said, oh, I hadn't thought about that, but that's a pretty great idea. And so instantly the people that came to mind were you, Jordy, Matt, and just making it a big project. And that got me super excited because obviously I respect each of you because, we've worked together before. Like Brent said, I consider you intellectuals. And for me, it felt like between us, we could make a really killer community. And that's something that was appealing to me. A lot of this is in the tech world, there's a lot of stress if you let it get to you. And having someone that's in the field that understands that stress, it's like any job, right? If you don't have somebody that understands that stress, it makes it really difficult to actually vent that. And so Digital Ascent to me is an outlet for that. You guys are in tech. We can vent, we can talk, we can discuss options on how to, build this network, build these, whatever. But, I guess Digital Ascent for me is a community. And I think between us, we can make a pretty stellar one.
I think that's man. I love doing this, and it's not like any of this is a surprise because we've all heard this. We've all talked before. I know, Shaun, Matt, and I were, in a call yesterday, or in a, I don't know, Discord party. I don't know what you guys call it in Discord, party in a party. I'm just gonna say that we were in a party yesterday.
Party.
I just meant to hop on for like 45 minutes, and then Shaun joined like 30 minutes into the call with Matt, and we ended up like just shooting the shit for like an hour and a half, 2 hours almost. Like, I had completely lost track of time. Just and we weren't meeting, we weren't recording or anything, but it is very easy, and I know I'm kind of like patting ourselves on the back here, but we're all very passionate about this stuff, right? So I'm going to use that passion statement there as a segue into Matt. Matt, bring us home, man. What does Digital Ascent mean to you? What are your thoughts as far as, the future is concerned? Where do you want to go? You know what I mean? Why are you here?
Man, I'm really hoping to bring knowledge. I feel like being in cybersecurity, I'm in such a small niche that most people basically don't think about, right? Like most people think about truckers and most people think about doctors and the healthcare system. And gosh, I hope most people are thinking about the service industry, right? And so many other people, and like in so many other industries, but nobody really thinks about cybersecurity and how does it affect your day to day. And the unfortunate thing is that it does affect your day to day. Every day we log in to websites that don't have multi-factor authentication. Every day we log in with passwords to man, I swear I just met someone the other day who said that they still use the same password for every site. I said, "Where's your password manager?" They pointed to their head. I said, "How do you do that?" They said, "Oh, I just use the same password." I said, "What? Do you know what?"
And look, knowing you, Matt, I know how that conversation went. I know your body language. I know the faces you were making. I know it had to have irked you. You know what I mean? Like,
I had
to paint that picture.
Man, yeah, like, and I tried to be like, all right, hey, man, look, okay. So I understand, like, once again, I understand people don't think about cybersecurity. No one's talking about cybersecurity. It's not like you had a how do I protect myself from getting hacked on the internet class in school, right? And even if you did, there's tons of people who, when you went to school, nobody was thinking about multi-factor authentication. That's a new concept for most companies, right? Let alone the individual populace. And so my hope here is that I can bring my knowledge of cybersecurity to the community here, and hopefully I'll be able to help people who want to get into cybersecurity understand that there are paths available to you and that there are multiple paths there, and help them identify that. A lot of people seem to have trouble identifying those paths, and rightfully so. Most people don't just come out of college and then get into a cybersecurity job. Usually you need 5, 10, 15 years of experience, and
Right.
and then, man, other than that, I'm just here to talk about tech news. I'm here to hang out with my friends. I also deeply respect everybody on this call. I've worked with with all of these guys for a long time. I'm just here to hang out and preach the gospel of cybersecurity, talk about tech news, video games, whatever.
And I think, and I was waiting, but I feel like every person that's we've all gotten a chance to speak so far. So everybody that has, when it's rotated over to them, we've all dropped the word community, and I think it's important to highlight that right now we have a handful of ideas, and we know what Matt's interested in, we know what Brent's interested in, we know what I'm interested in, and we know what Shaun's interested in, right? And it's a big smorgasbord or mix of again, like the tech, just general IT stuff, security, and video games, like whatever, right? All those things, and that is what Digital Ascent is, and to us, like we're speaking like super professional, and we're really excited to finally be recording and stuff, and it's because we are so passionate, and like we have all these far-fetched ideas, and we keep thinking to the future. And I know, like, I caught myself doing it a few times in the calls leading up to this, and we're constantly trying to think to the future, just because we are so passionate about this one thing. And if we can kind of foster a community of like-minded people that are also interested in the same things that we are, and maybe kind of like the way that we talk about them, then hey, that's a plus too. But first and foremost, we're doing this for ourselves. You know what I mean? It's for community, so we can. Well, you know what? I'll just kind of stop there, right? So okay, so we have the general gist down of what Digital Ascent is to the each of us, and together what we're kind of shooting to achieve by doing this podcast.
Well, we forgot one part, and the part that we forgot. And Matt, Matt kind of touched on this, and I want to make sure that we kind of bring it to light.
I'm ready.
And that is, we've talked a lot about digital, but we didn't talk about the Ascent part.
Oh.
And Matt touched on this quite a bit, and that's running into somebody on the street or whomever, and you're talking about IT, and you realize, hey, this guy could use our help. This guy could use a little kick in the butt to be more secure, or to make the right tech choice. Maybe they're building a computer and they're picking all the wrong parts, or they're listening to the wrong people. Whatever the case may be. I mean, that's the other part of our existence. Our purpose is, yes, all things digital, but we're also, our goal, our passion is to kind of help people overcome some of these tech challenges that you're going to face day to day.
Can we improve anybody's, like, can we improve our listeners' life? You know what I mean? Like in any way. And maybe that improvement is just knowledge. Maybe exactly. Maybe we're dropping knowledge bombs, And so thanks, Brent, for dropping that in there before I moved over to the next point. Like, we covered a lot of the digital and didn't hit the Ascent part, and it was really easy to hit, but I'm glad that did not get left out, and we didn't have to cover that at the end or anything.
Hey, I just want to jump in here, Jordyn. I'm sorry. I just want to jump in here for a second and just point out that everybody here has built a career around serving or helping people in one way, shape, or form. Like, that is every single one of us. We wake up, we go to work every single day because we're trying to make people's lives better. Our entire careers are built around it. And, I really hope to extend that from the from the workspace over into the personal lives as well. And I just wanted to get that out there. I felt like it was a really important point to make.
No, yeah, of course, dude. I totally. I think we're all vibing, and I think we are presenting this idea in a way that is very palatable. So it's dude. That's exactly right. So what I'd like to do now is we got the Digital Ascent portion, right? We got the intro for the ideas out of the way. Why don't we tell everybody a little bit about ourselves? You know what I mean? Do some small, do some nonchalant type intros. You know what I mean? I don't know. Brent, would you like to start? Do we start on the opposite end? Shaun, would you like to start? Who's going to take us away here?
I'm happy to take us away. I'll give you a little spiel here. We've talked a million times about how we want to approach this, and I think this is probably, honestly, at the end of the day, the most organic way to handle it. So So me, of course, I'm Brent. I've got 20 plus years, honestly, on and off years in the tech space. Starting off, working, just kind of like doing my own business when I was super, super young, just working on, neighbors' computers and stuff like that. Working for a small dial-up ISP when I was in high school, moving on to some remote work, working on like game servers and stuff like that, some Linux administration and Windows administration stuff at a very early age. I mean, this was probably when I was 16 or 17 years old working on these things. And I don't know, it's always been, for the most part, on that customer service side. It's always been helping the client accomplish a goal, solving a problem, making a solution to something, engineering a solution. So that's where my strength lies, and that's kind of carried on throughout my entire career, pretty much essentially into where I'm at now. I'm now with a pretty small MSP, but we do really good business. So it's kind of flourished and bloomed into quite the career. And, my success has been driven just by the many years I've just worked on it and tinkered on it and stuff like that. But that's the other part of it too, is the personal experience I have with it. Not only do I work with it, but I also, my everyday life is just involved in tech. I mean, I'm sitting here talking to you guys right now via this podcast. I think only people that are probably passionate about tech are going to actually take the time to sit here and talk about technology in their off time. So, and I think all you guys can agree with
That's
that
a good
and agree
point.
with the purpose.
That's a really good point.
We've already kind of discussed. Yeah, exactly. We've already discussed like the purpose of Digital Ascent and all that good stuff, and kind of, where our stance is on that. So, that's kind of my day to day in terms of, where I came from and all that. And then, in my off time and whatnot, I mean, I love video games. We were going to talk plenty about that in this podcast. I'm big on first person and third person shooters, the competitive shooters specifically. Recently I've been on a Fortnite kick. Shaun and I both have. But I mean, Call of Duty, I like mixing in an RPG here and there just to kind of break up that routine. I'm playing Minecraft with my kids from time to time, and that's only if I can manage to pull them away from Roblox. They are extremely addicted.
That damn Roblox.
That damn Roblox, man, I'm telling you. So, they love that, and that's cool and all. But that's going to feed into some topics as well. I can guarantee that we'll definitely cover some how to protect your kids in this
modern age
technology. This technology era that we're in. Yeah, for sure.
What a nightmare.
That'll be a whole podcast right there.
Guaranteed.
A whole episode by itself.
Controls.
That's exactly, Matt. That's why it's a perfect segue to slide right into your intro, bro.
Hey,
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Matt?
I'm Matt. I could talk forever about the imperfect controls that we have for monitoring and regulating children on the internet. Okay, no, seriously. All right, I'm Matt. I've been in tech for a long time. Knew I wanted to work in tech. Even when I was in high school, I ended up going to college, getting bachelor's of science and information technology. I've been in the MSP space for about 9-10-ish years. Worked for several MSPs, and primarily in the financial and healthcare sectors. So lots of focus on security. I started my way at the bottom. Somebody's got to reset those AD passwords and fix the printers, man. And worked my way up to being a networking engineer. Picked up some programming along the way, and then from there, I was able to work my way into working on vulnerability management, secure network design. And then eventually into audit and compliance. And at this point, I've led successful audits for multiple companies. I've been involved in security audits for several banks. I'm currently employed by a large business as an information security analyst. So my day-to-day is hunting down and seeking threats within the SOC, and working on audit stuff and reviewing current practices that we're working on and recommending improvements, so on and so forth, leading training programs. So that's basically my career history, my resume. As to what I'm into out of work, I'm into hanging out with my family, and I'm pretty deep into video games. I think Jordy said the other day that I may drop 15 to 25 hours a week. I don't know about that, but I don't really know if I can say it's inaccurate. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to analyze those numbers.
Best not to.
Best
Yeah,
not
that's
to, man.
definitely
just,
best
just
not
they
to,
don't
man.
exist.
Head in sand, baby.
Yep.
So I'm into RPGs. I basically don't like a game unless it can take at least 20 to 30 hours. I'm into strategy games. Stellaris lives in a deep, warm place within my heart even now. And I get down on
Stelly.
Old Stelly, baby. And I'm into point and click games when, I'm just burnt out, whatever. I just need to do something. I'm into music. I really, really, really like music. I'm into punk, trip hop, house, rap, and then a bunch of alternative random stuff. Um, and, really into tech stuff. So you'll probably hear me talking about tech news and how that may impact your lives. And I guess that's about it from me. Nice little bio.
Hey, love it, man.
Yeah, it's not so
Love it.
bad. Now,
See, man,
Jordan,
it wasn't that bad.
it
And look,
wasn't
I want to
that bad.
give everybody some context, all right?
It
And
wasn't
Matt, I'm
that
not going to
bad.
rag on you, I promise,
And
all right? But
yeah,
prior to today,
not
all
gonna
right,
rag on
we
you.
had our
Just
we had our
talk
first
smack.
meeting.
No way you're gonna snitch on him, Jordy. No way.
No, I'm not. I have
Jordy,
to
a
provide
snitch.
context,
I'm
all right?
from
Because we
Southern
just dropped,
California, Jordy. You know what
we
happens?
look, so look, just really quick, and then we'll just hop right back into intros, okay? But really
All right.
quick. Last week we had our first official meeting, and we were trying to organize a bunch of stuff. And one of the things that we all wanted to be prepped for was for this bit here, everybody doing their intros. And it was a very simple idea, but I think all of us, and to some extent, we overthought it. And of course, it circles back to we're all passionate about this. We all want to sound really good, and we want this to be very, professional, and seriously. And so I think we did have that capacity to overthink, right? Just a little tiny bit. And Matt was. I mean, we were all there with him, but Matt was like, "Hey,
I was a little
was supposed to-
concerned.
Yeah, how
I was a
you
little
want me to
concerned.
talk about myself for 2 to 5 minutes? Are you? How do I write a script? Or how do I? Or what do we? What are we
You
doing?
did
man.
great, Matt.
You
You
know,
did
I
great.
wish I could just
you
show
did
my
great.
first draft. It was so crazy. It
He
would have
showed it to me.
easily.
No joke.
It
He
would have
showed
been
it
a
to me. I was
10
like,
minute.
this
It
looks
would have
like a
been.
resume.
It
This looks like an
was.
actual
It was
resume.
my resume. It would have been a 10-minute speaking demonstration about why I'm qualified to talk about cybersecurity and video games. You
Look,
want to
man,
know
and
how many hours I have in Stellaris? It's not good. No, you don't
that's
want to know. It's triple digits. We'll leave it at
the
that.
good thing. The good thing, Matt, is that we got through it. All right,
We
and
did.
it's we're trudging along.
All right, Jordy.
So
Yeah.
All
Now
right.
you're gonna
Since you
talk
ratted
about
him out, it's
yourself.
you next.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's your turn
I was
now,
just about to
sucker.
say going last is that's a weight I don't want to carry, so I wasn't going to give you a choice, Shaun. I was just going to go mosey on in here. So yeah, hi everybody. I don't know why I'm saying hi. We've been talking for 30 minutes already. I'm Jordyn. I have been in the IT industry 3 or 4 years. I don't know, that start date's going to vary depending on who you're asking. And just to be honest, and not as an insult to myself, but I definitely have the least amount of technical experience out of the 4 people here. All right. And again, not as an insult, I'm not ragging on myself. Right. But I'll circle back to that here in a minute. Okay. But yeah, since I've been a part of the industry, I've been working at a small MSP. I started off as a service coordinator and slash dispatch, and I am now filling the role of the service desk manager. In a weird, non-technical way. Again, not as a roast to myself or anything. And I'm gonna. These are all important, so I'll circle back to these in a minute. But yeah, my job, my day to day, essentially is to make sure that the service desk's day to day is trudging along swimmingly. Right. I handle the CSATs. I manage
Hey,
the calendars and all that
Jordy.
stuff. And yes, sir. What do you got for me?
What's the CSAT?
Customer satisfaction. Thanks, Matt. Thanks
Mhm.
for
No
wow, that's
problem.
great. It's a customer satisfaction issues. So I handle all those, the client facing stuff, and it's a nice segue into what I think I bring to the table here. All right. Um, some of the time, or a lot of the time, when I am dealing with these clients, right, one of my jobs is to dumb down whatever the problem is, whatever the technical side of things are, and deliver that to the client, right? And it's not for every single user, that I speak to, or every user that I deal with, or that I hop on the phone with. But a lot of the time, I got to do that, right? For one of two reasons. One, it is completely impractical in my mind to have a 10-minute conversation about all of the things that are broken. And I really don't think, I mean, myself as a user, I don't want to deal with that, right? So you got to shorten those things up in just a couple sentences. You got to use those nice key hot words, you know what I mean, that show you're intelligent, but not too intelligent, you know what I mean, not in a condescending way. And really, that's number one of what I think I bring to the table. So I referenced earlier that I have the least amount of technical, experience here, or just in this industry overall. But I think that is one of my strengths as far as being a part of Digital Ascent. I think a lot of times, IT and tech just in general seems very daunting. And for I've told a lot of friends, about this podcast and stuff. And one of the things in the back of my mind is like, hey, how do we make these things approachable, right? How do we ensure that, the potential listeners that we could bring in, or even if it's family members or coworkers or whatever, right? The skill level is going to vary between each and every single one of those individuals, right? So I think one of the things that I can help with as far as Digital Ascent is concerned is dumbing down a lot of these topics and asking questions that maybe help to clarify a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, right? Like, and so that's number one. And number two, and I'm going to simultaneously kind of give you a little bit more background about myself at the same time. I'm super into pop culture, right? And as far as Digital Ascent is concerned, I feel like video games, will probably be a lot of what I can bring to the table, but not just, I'm not talking about, hey, hopping on here and let's spend an episode, conversing about, the best new AAA game that came out, or whatever, right? What really drives me as a gamer is I have this knack, I have this need to understand how the video games work, the technology behind it. You know what I mean? I am just excited for CES at the beginning of the year as I am for E3. And why? Because I'm probably going to get some insight into what's hitting the video game industry in the very near future. You know what I mean? And so, to me, as far as the tech is concerned, and as far as Digital Ascent is concerned, I one would love to talk about video games, but two, I would love to talk about the tech behind it. For me, understanding how this very important art medium in my life works. It's introduced a new tier, a new level of passion for me. And so what I would like to do is share a little bit of that passion with, again, our future community, our future listeners or whatever, and hopefully maybe enhance that experience for a little bit of everybody. And at a minimum, we're just dropping knowledge bombs. You know what I mean? We're spreading the good word of the gaming industry as a whole. And that's my spiel. That's who I am. Take it or leave it. That's it.
You
Boom.
take it,
You take it or leave
Take it or leave it.
You know what I mean?
What happens if I don't take it? What happens
hey,
then?
look, I don't care what your favorite flavor of ice cream is. You either like it or you don't. You know what I
Right.
mean? What can I do?
We're gonna have a functionality on the podcast where you can just mute
Yeah, it's
Jordy's
just
part.
Jordy. You can just
and,
turn 'em
and
off.
that'll be the leave it option. Two episodes.
Yeah.
One, everybody. Two, sans Jordy. Just a big blank space of nothing.
Well, again, it'll be an accessibility feature for all of those people who just can't stand me.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't imagine there being a single person who feels that way, man.
Oh, Matt, you're too kind, but I can't tell
am.
if you're patronizing me or not.
I'm not.
And you
I'm
know
not.
what?
No, I know. I
That
legitimately feel that way. No, I do legitimately.
That's very
feel that
kind of
way.
you, Matt. That's
Yeah,
very
well,
kind of
that's
you.
nice.
Last but not least, Mr. Shaun Depaul. Tell us about yourself, sir.
Shaun Depaul. All right. Well, howdy. I'm Shaun. I don't know why I'm a cowboy, but I've been in IT for about 7 years now. And I've started at the very lowest rung, being an intern at the state, and basically doing printers, AD password resets, replacing monitors, the whole spiel. So after that, I moved over to let's see, an MSP, and worked there for a few years, and that was a little bit more elevated, so more into configuring routers and switches. And I guess I should back up. I did graduate college and got an associate's.
Thank you for
in,
clarifying.
yeah, kind of important. Like internship where,
Mhm.
but got a computer networking technology degree, and ended up with an associate's there. And so fast forwarding, went to my first MSP gig, worked there for a long time, and then moved to my second gig, which is where I met everyone here and did a lot more, even more elevated work, which is working in the financial sector and doing some of those vulnerability remediations, security for the banking industry, doing server upgrades, managing backups, basically being a systems administrator for multiple different clients and making sure that they ran smoothly. And then I am now in a position, in a corporate position that is, again, systems administrator, but it's on a much larger scale. It's actually the largest scale I've ever worked in IT. And we have hundreds of facilities across the entire United States. And so we manage those and keep those running. And it is definitely a different vibe, but it's really good. And
and you were flexing earlier, weren't you? Before we started recording, you said Fortune 300.
Yeah,
That's
he
actually
Sure
pretty
did. He
impressive.
left that out. He left that out this time.
Missed that. Oh man, that's
I
pretty.
didn't want to flex
That's
too
pretty.
hard,
That's pretty tight, man.
No,
at
it's
you.
true. It is a Fortune 300, but very fortunate to be there.
Big
Very
dog.
happy, and honestly, I can say that most of the people here have helped me get to that point. If that tells you anything about the caliber of people we're working with, not to
Which I think what I do want to just add. I don't know that I think we've danced around it, and I think Shaun might be the first one to have said it. But to just clarify, we have all worked with each other at one point or another.
Right.
So that's how we all kind of interweaved and got to this point here. I'm sorry, Shaun. I just wanted to
No, you're good,
clarify
man.
that.
No, that's a good clarification. So yeah, again, Digital Ascent for me, community. I'm really big into video games. I lean more towards the RTS, slower paced games. I like to be immersed. A big music fan. Soundtracks are really important to me. I think that's a big factor for me in a game as far as immersion goes. If you can pull my heartstrings with the music, you're going to sink me into the game. So music's going to be a big thing for me here. And then, I do FPS as well. Like Brent mentioned, we play a lot of Fortnite. I'm on a Fortnite kick right now. MMOs, everything you can really imagine. Basically, if I can get a group of people and play with them, I'm set, right?
It's a wrap right there. Yeah, it's a wrap.
That's truth.
Yeah. Mostly because I grew up without internet, so making up for lost time.
Yep.
Yeah, but outside of that, chess, philosophy, like I said, music, and big family guy. I love my family. I love spending time with my family. I've actually got a spare controller that is not hooked to anything, and just let my son run around and play with it. And my wife is a little bit less inclined. She rolls her eyes at me a few times, but
Shaun gave him that controller so that way when his youngin gets a little older, he don't gotta play that game. Let me play, Daddy. Now you got your controller. We are playing. We're playing together already.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean?
That's
Like, what are you
exactly right. Just setting them up.
Shaun trained him young.
I'll tell you what, that does not work for as long as you want it to.
Don't tell me that, man.
They catch on so quick. Man, they catch on so quick that their controller ain't plugged in. Hey, when I move the stick, absolutely nothing happens. I don't know what you're talking about. It's moving on the screen. But not the way I'm moving the stick.
Look, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, there are going to be strict guidelines in my house. You can have your own consoles off to the side when you're old enough, because I got enough of them in the house already. Ain't no problem. My Xbox, my PC, you don't touch it. All right, I'm gonna treat
You
it
ain't
No
like
gonna feel like
touchy.
that.
look. It's gonna be
No,
treated
you
like
ain't gonna
John
feel
C.
like that,
Riley's
dog.
character. All right, in Step Brothers with the drum set. Do not touch my stuff, youngins. Okay, you go touch your stuff. I'll
You
play
don't
with you on your
know.
stuff, but don't touch my
Yeah.
stuff.
That ain't
Okay.
true.
Hey, look, I grew up with 4 other siblings. Okay, I'm the oldest. All they did was break my stuff.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
I learned. I know it's different because they're not my kids and they're siblings. All I'm
yeah,
saying is I know if you give a tiny human an opportunity to fail, and they're gonna take it every time. All right, so
not intentionally.
All
It-
right,
but
we're sidetracking.
we're side.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is
we're
sidetracking.
tangenting here. Sean, apologize. I
No,
apologize.
you're
All right,
fine.
we interrupted you.
So yeah, no, that's it. That's a lot of what I have to bring to the table. I would say jack of all trades, kind of done a little bit of everything. So, but yeah,
And I think we all
yeah,
have,
yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
all
you.
have a
So I
smattering
think
of
everybody
that.
here has done a little bit of everything. I do listen, guys. I want to be selfish for like 30 seconds here, and I want to retcon something I said earlier before Shaun gave his intro, and I just feel like I was real condescending when I said something along the lines of like, "Hey, I'm going to dumb everything down for everybody." I wanted to clarify that I am also a dummy, which is why I think that I can do a good job of dumbifying everything that these fine, intellectual, intelligent men are going to talk about throughout the course
So,
of
And
this
so you're bringing
podcast.
it down to your
I'm
level.
bringing it down
That's
to
what you're
my
saying.
level. Exactly. That's what I'm. Brent, I mean, you took
Oh
my whole
no,
intro and you said
man,
it in one sentence. So I mean, it was literally that's what I was trying to say. Okay,
roasted.
that's
it's
yeah.
it was phrased a little harshly, but the truth of it is that we're going to be talking about things to some degree that maybe not everybody thinks about every day, right? I mean,
Yes, exactly.
I made a mistake earlier. I said MFA. I probably should have said multi-factor authentication. It means when you have you know your username, you know your password, you assume everyone knows your username, so you know your password, and then you have something else, some type of key fob, or a phone, someone could text you, or maybe another email that you can access and then get a code, something like that, right? But we're gonna be talking about things, and maybe there will be terminology. And we just need to make sure to explain that and make it accessible to everybody. It's not necessarily dumbing it down at all in my mind. It's just making it
You're exact.
accessible.
I think you're right. You know what I mean? And I just I had to
Information's
clarify because
so important.
I agree with you that I felt like I was a little harsh, and that's all I could think about while Sean was talking. It's all I could think
Hey,
about. Like, oh my
you
god, I sounded
rectified
like
it
a
now.
jerk.
The guilt.
I did. I
guilt,
fixed it,
Jordyn.
Yeah.
and we're good. And
Yeah.
okay. So with that, I know that prior to I mean, guys, I feel like this has been great, and I know that we had toyed with the idea of rolling into another topic, but I feel like this is a pretty solid first episode. I feel like this is I mean, unless I don't want to say unless anybody disagrees, but do you guys want to roll into another topic? Do you guys want to? I mean, do you guys want to just call it right here and like what are we thinking?
I put a bunch of work into it. I want to talk about freaking Log4j.
Yeah, right. I mean, we've talked a lot about ourselves, our interests, and stuff like that, and the purpose of Digital Ascent. And I think the general consensus was with this intro episode, we did want to kind of give everybody a little taste of some subject matter,
definitely.
anyways.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think we all
that's
agreed
good.
on what cybersecurity and gaming is that what we wanted to kind of to touch on just a little bit today. It certainly won't be.
Yeah.
It won't be a full-fledged deep dive necessarily, but it's just going to kind of be some viewpoints and just hashing out a little bit of what we've seen in recent years and recent memory.
Yeah. Well, okay. So with that, cybersecurity and gaming. I mean, let's talk about it. And I want to approach. I want to drop the topic on the table here. All right. As I'm the questionee, right? I'm the consumer. Why? What is cybersecurity and gaming? That's a very what's the word? That's a scary group of words there. It's a scary, like, what does that mean? Am I doing
So I
something
think
wrong? Is there something more that I should be doing? Why should I care about security and gaming?
right, and I think a good place to start would be to define cybersecurity, because
Well,
that also means a lot of different things. and it
And
may
Matt,
require a definition.
Wait,
that
do we have
is
somebody? Wait, do we have somebody here who might know something about that by chance? I don't.
Matt, I
don't
was
know.
just
I have
about to
no
ask.
clue.
We do.
I'm unclear. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, Matt, in a
We
nutshell.
may have to call
Yeah.
somebody.
All right. Hold on.
Phone a friend?
Let me get my phone a friend. All right. No, I'll talk about cybersecurity.
Yeah,
What
in
is
a nutshell,
cybersecurity?
yes.
Yeah. What is? Yeah. Nobody told me to be answering this question. Okay. What is cybersecurity in a nutshell? Man, when I think about cybersecurity, I think about the CIA triad. It's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And I think about keeping my stuff secure. That's confidentiality. I think about
Okay.
ensuring that I know that it isn't changing and that it's immutable, or
Okay.
that if it is changing, it's changing in controlled ways. And that's the integrity, that I know the data I'm looking at is good data. And then I think about availability. And that means making sure that my games that means making sure that my files, games, whatever it is, are available, accessible, and are meeting those other things. So it means that it's private. It can't be changed without proper authorization, and I can access it when I need to access my data.
So
when I-
essentially,
Go
this
ahead,
is
yeah.
saying like, if I've got a document and I open this up on the computer, as far as
Mhm.
security is concerned, if I want this to be a secure document, I need to make sure that it is only accessible to me, right? Like we're talking about just kind of locking these things down, maybe
Yep.
adding permissions to the document, maybe,
Passwords. Most documents contain
password
passwords.
protected. Yeah. Okay. So stuff like that, just as a general example,
Mhm.
those are the kinds of things we're talking about when we're talking about cybersecurity as
Yeah.
broadly, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's like the biggest. Uh, that's like the biggest view of it. And so when I talk about cybersecurity and gaming, what I think about a couple different levels. One is ensuring that my credentials are secure. So that means, can I access? And for me, it means, can I access my game platform of choice, where I purchase my storefront of choice? Can I access it? Am I sure that nobody else can access it? For me, it means yes. I have multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication is easy. I recommend you set it up on everything. And that means that when somebody logs in with my username and my password, then my phone is all, like, somebody needs to have my phone also, right? And they need to have my phone's password, because
Right.
my phone's got a
So
password
now
on it too.
we're talking about layering, right?
Mhm.
That's essentially
Yeah.
what MFA is giving us.
Yeah.
We're layering we're doubling essentially the amounts of passwords
Mhm.
that you have to have at
Ye-
one time in
Yep.
order to access
And
something.
it's not just passwords, because it's not just something you have to make somebody have like an item, something like some physical item. Somebody has to have broken into my home and stolen my phone. I need to have left it on the subway unlocked, something like that, right?
Well, and there's also multiple types of MFA. So
Yep.
you can have rolling codes where it
Yep.
changes every 30 seconds. You can have it send SMS to your phone as well.
You get push
Um,
notifications.
You can get push notifications. You can get separate emails if you want.
Yep.
We
through
love
the
talking
email.
about just
Sorry,
love
yeah,
talking about MFA so much.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so
We could,
Okay,
yeah,
so
we could talk about
I want to move to the
multi-factor
next spot.
authentication all day.
So I got the next spot. So the next spot about it is, well, now that I know my stuff's secure, I need to make sure that the applications and the code that I have on my computer is secure. So that means number one, no piracy. Absolutely not. No piracy. And the reason why you can't do piracy is because most of those things are repacked, and you do not know. They have done something to the code, and you have no proof that one isn't going to phone something home, open a backdoor in there. So
Okay, slow down for a second. So
yeah, sorry.
I feel like you segued really fast. So
That's
when you're
my
talking
bad.
about define piracy, what are
Okay,
you
that's
talking about?
fair. So when I'm talking about piracy, I'm talking about um, getting software from illegitimate sources. So most of the time, you want a game, you gotta go Steam, you gotta go Epic, gotta go GOG, or you can go and I'm not talking about getting it from like the gray market, G2A, or cheap digital downloads, or whatever. Pick your gray market, man, because those all back end to eventually, like, what I'll call that store page. What I'm talking about is going to something. I'm just going to pick Pirate Bay. Everybody know Pirate Bay, right? Go to Pirate Bay, right? Everybody know Pirate Bay, man. That's a crazy story. If you don't
No,
know the
Matt,
story
I
of Pirate
don't know
Bay,
Pirate Bay.
okay, yeah.
Don't you
well,
dare. Nope.
If you
Nope.
no, hey, look, if you don't know the story of Pirate Bay, man, those are some crazy guys. They're something else. And whatever. That's not really here and there. Anyways, the point is when I go to Pirate Bay, I'm no longer getting something that I am sure has integrity. I have no way to validate those files are the way that they're supposed to be. In fact, I know for sure that they're not because they're not phoning home and checking. So, we're talking about cybersecurity. Going to Pirate Bay violates that integrity. So do not do that.
And this is where that love-hate relationship comes into play too. We won't get too deep into this, but DRM or digital rights management.
That's another
Yeah.
story.
The
dark.
That's
the dark
been
side.
kind of the bane of right. I mean, so because it's there for a good purpose, but in most iterations, I think we as gamers have seen more issues with DRM than we have seen it actually protecting us in any way. If anything, it's protecting their IP. And not necessarily protecting us in any way.
DRM is bad for availability in the way that it's done.
That is true, correct? Because it ties back into your phoning home. If it's constantly phoning home, well, you're right.
All right,
Just
exactly. But go
to
ahead, sir.
clarify,
Continue.
IP is intellectual property.
Thank you.
We got to make sure that those acronyms are getting defined.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is ensuring that your legitimate software is secure. So most developers honestly do their best to do a good job, make sure they have secure software, right? Some people a little lazier than others, most people though doing their darndest, man, they're just trying to earn a paycheck and do the best that they can every day. And but when they push changes, sometimes you don't always know everything that's going to happen. When you have, a few thousand lines of code or hundreds of thousands of lines of code, it's hard to predict every edge case that's going to occur. And some of those edge cases may let you break loop, get out, and then have administrative access in some ways. So I want to talk about one of the biggest ones that affected hundreds of millions of devices, and that's Log4j, and it ruined the beginning of my year. And so here's how Log4j works. Log4j relies on Java, and I promise I'm going to tie this back to gaming. Log4j.
Okay.
I will. I promise. I promise to tie it back to gaming. Log4j relies on Java, and that's a really important thing. Java's a code base. Is used for a lot of games, and that's going to matter. And it was an exploit, or it is taking advantage of. Sorry, this is so ridiculous. It's taking advantage of the logging service of Java, and a logging service that you can implement in your Java program. But here's the thing. If you sent the message in the right way, it would start executing the code. So speaking of speaking of breaking it down, think of it like this. Think of a courtroom. I don't know how it is in courts in the rest of the world, but in America, you got a stenographer, right? Hey, look, I don't know. You got a stenographer.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
You got a person who's sitting there taking notes of the entire thing. They're logging. That's what they do.
Right.
They're logging, right? But what if I'm sorry, that's so ridiculous. But what if it's totally true? But what if you said it the right way? Like if you said pretty please with sugar and gumdrops on top and then a cherry, do this terrible thing that was occurring in the courtroom, that they're discussing in the courtroom, that the stenographer would get up from their seat and start executing whatever heinous thing they're saying. What that means in the system side is that you, Mr. Hacker, may say something like, and you can do this over the web. You just go straight to the website and you say, will you please give me administrative access? And while you're doing that, can you please give me administrative access to every other machine? And also, while you're doing that, will you also please rewrite the log so it looks like none of that happened, so nobody can come back and check that I have administrative access?
Okay, man, I want to pause right here just to give you some praise, okay? Because I obviously working at an MSP, Log4j is not something that I have not heard of before.
Yeah,
okay,
bet, dude.
All right, so I remember when it kicked off, I was like, oh shit!
gosh.
Now, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to say it affected everybody, but there were definitely a group of people that were like, we need to get this figured out, right? And
weeks of my work.
And look, so I just want to throw this out there really quick. I had no idea what Log4j was until just now. So thank you Like, I'm going to blame myself on that because I could have just looked it up. All right. But you gave us a very palatable, very easy understanding of what Log4j was or is and why it is important and relevant right now. All right. Continue, Matt.
Okay. So just so like, so we're talking about seriousness of this. CISA, the cybersecurity infrastructure. Oh gosh, I can't remember what it is. It covers the systems and access controls. Man,
Okay.
it's about the SCADA systems, and
Okay.
it's about checking. It's about keeping track of our infrastructure. Anyways, sorry. CISA released a bulletin and said that the government needed a patch immediately for it. So I have sources backing all this up. We'll put them in the show notes. I'm sure that we have show notes. And I'm gonna have links to all this. I'm also gonna have a 20 or 30-minute deep dive from a guy that I really like into what Log4j is. The guy seems like I don't know if he's a developer. I think he's a developer, but he does a great job of breaking it down. Lastly, I promised I would circle back to gaming. How does this affect gaming?
Let's do it. Give it to us. Bring us home, Matt.
What relies on Java, man? Minecraft relies on Java. Minecraft relies on Java, and it relies on Log4j, and it relies on the Apache logging service that was affected. So when this dropped, anybody who is running a Minecraft on their PC or had a Minecraft server, 100%. If you could send public commands to that server, you could type into the chat box, "Hi, please give me administrative rights," and the logger would be like, "Okay, here's your admin rights." Whatever rights the system logger had is the rights that you could access.
Okay, so what I want to do here is, because it's blowing my mind a little bit, and I swear I'm
sorry.
No. So what you are saying is if somebody was logged into the Java version of Minecraft on their PC, and oh, by the way, like Xbox just launched a Java version of Minecraft. They're trying to they're trying to blend the two versions. I'm not sure if you guys were aware, but they have a Java version and a Bedrock version. And Bedrock came out after Xbox had acquired Mojang, and so we have these two different versions now, right? And normally you're going to get the Bedrock version just right out of the gate if you're on a Windows machine. If you've got Windows loaded up and you go to buy Minecraft in the store, you're getting Bedrock. Right now, you'd have to go out of your way to go buy Java, but there are millions of players who have the Java edition still downloaded, which is why it is still supported. Okay. Now, where this is relevant to this and why it's blowing my mind a little bit is this, to my knowledge, like right now, hopefully I'm not misunderstanding this, but with the Java version, you have the PCs affected. Every single computer that has the Java version would be affected by this. And now, because they're trying to merge the Java edition into the console space, I'm assuming that if you had the same ability, and if somebody's logged in, whether you're on an Xbox or a PC, right? If somebody can send commands to that server or can access that chat box or however you said it, right? Like now their entire machine is compromised.
So I want to clarify at least two things. The first is that it's patched. And I'm going to start. I promise I'm going to talk about that. We're going to thank God. Yeah, no, we're going to circle back to the patching situation. I've got more to talk about there. But yes, if I would say anywhere where that Apache service was in use. Now, I am not intimately familiar with Minecraft, so I'm going to say absolutely anybody who had logging turned on servers. And I'm going to go a step further and say that probably logging on the workstations also, because that's how you log. It was open software, man. It's open source software. That's part of the reason why it affected so many devices, because it's free logging software. It's great. It's been it's been out there for years.
Have we mentioned I don't think we've heard any numbers. I think Oracle not too long ago kind of plugged, hey, and Oracle, by the way, is the original developer of Java. There's many iterations of it now, but I believe at one point they said it's on over 13 billion devices.
I didn't get the actual number. I looked for
everywhere.
And
that's just to kind of put it into perspective. We're talking about a very small footprint with Minecraft. and in gaming in general really is probably the minority
Yeah.
statistic when it comes to
yeah,
this.
man.
So this is just everywhere, just to give everybody context here. But go ahead,
the thing
Matt.
that makes it so terrible is that it's always buried under something else, right? Like you can't go to your systems and say, show me the Apache like logging service that is vulnerable. You've got to go to your software vendor and you got to go, hey man, do you use the Apache logging service? Oh, yes I do. Hey, are you aware of Log4j? What's Log4j? Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. Please tell me that you're patched. Oh, I do know what Log4j is, and maybe we have a patch. And man, the first patch of Log4j didn't even fix the problem. The second patch for Log4j, like I feel like fixed it in most cases, but not all. And then I do believe they finally got it patched. It's like one of the many cybersecurity nightmares that have occurred in the past 2 or 3 years. There's been some really terrible ones, but this one is like numero uno, right behind Solari Gate. So.
And largely driven by that stat though.
It's
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's used for so much.
I have spent a lot of time tracking and rooting out, basically.
So let me ask this really quick.
Sure.
And I know we just talked about the patching and stuff like that. So and I know, and Brent, I'm glad that you said something about it. We're using for the interest of the topic, right, and the theme of this portion. We've used Minecraft as the example here, but obviously,
Fantastic.
just like you said, Brent, it is probably the minority, right? And so
Yes.
just overall is this something that me as a, at the different levels, right? If you just want to throw it out as like, hey, the client side, the user side, and then like the enterprise level.
Man.
Is this something that I should be worried about as just a consumer, browsing around, playing the games that I do on my PC? Or has this been resolved on, the consumer side?
You should be concerned that your router is affected by Log4j.
I don't like that answer. That's not the answer I was expecting. I don't like that at all.
Anything legacy in your environment.
It's so bad, man. It affects everything. It feels like it touches so much.
It's top to bottom. It's top to bottom because you can go. I mean, you think about legacy websites. You think
they all
about
use Java,
plugins,
man.
You think about,
dude, Cisco used Java
man, it's everywhere.
dude. Cisco had that terrible Java interface for their switches. That thing, I don't know if it used the Apache Log4j, but if it did, guess what?
How do I prevent this? I don't want to be a victim to Log4j.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm laughing. Log4j is so terrible. So I either start laughing or I start crying because it's so terrible. So what do you do all right, real talk. What do you do about it? Man, you patch. Anytime that you install a piece of software and it's like, do you want to auto-enable updates? You auto-enable updates. You do it every single time. You got a piece of hardware, you want to auto-enable updates? Yep, you sure do auto-enable updates. I started out saying that that these are good, that the developers are good people and that they're trying hard to patch this stuff too. Everybody released patches as soon as they possibly could that I'm aware of. Right? There's a ton of it. Everybody going through stuff saying yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So, so
the gist is to make sure that everything stays up to date. That is
just keep it up to date. That's the best way to. So I mean, this was a huge thing. It caused a big kerfuffle in the cybersecurity world. Totally affected millions of things, billions of things. What you can do, stay up to date, man. Let your computer patch. When IT says, hey, do you want to patch my computer? Let your computer patch, please.
Dude, and you know what? And maybe we use that as just the general say-so, all right? Look, the Digital Ascent tip of the episode, make sure your stuff is updated, all right? Applications, programs, your Xboxes, PlayStations, computers, everything needs to be updated. And if you're sitting here and by chance you're listening to this right now and you're like, man, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't think I've ran an update since I've had X, Y, or Z machine. You need to go home. You need to sit down at your computer and you need to run an update. All right.
What you need to do is come to our Discord and pop into our general or one of our channels and ask us about updates. That's what you need to do. You need to come to our Discord. You need to come to our Discord.
What a great
show. Our website.
Fantastic.
That you want help. We are here to help you guys.
Absolutely.
That's what we're doing here. Like we're here because we want to hang out, and we're here because we want to spread good stuff about IT and about tech and stuff like that.
So let's do a summary because the topic was cybersecurity in gaming. right? So we're talking about MFA on any accounts that will allow you to, which most do now. I would be
Yes.
very
Not everyone.
shocked. Not
Turn
everywhere.
MFA
Not
on.
everywhere.
Turn it on.
Yeah,
Turn it
turn it
on.
on. It's
Not that bad.
Just go into your profile, set it up. It takes like maybe 5-10 minutes, but those security notifications, because you got to think about it. Those games, a lot of times, have your credit card information, have your personal
they
information
do.
in there, and so it's a simple step to just get you a little bit more secure, right?
Yep.
So,
Get your PayPal.
yep, MFA. Make sure that that's set up, and then patching, making sure that everything you have is up to date. I know it eats data. I know that it takes up space in your hard drive. You know, jeez, Jordyn.
This is right, man. Update your stuff.
He's right. You know, it's a good billboard. It's a pain, but there is purpose behind it. Outside of the just general functionality of the game, right? Like the feature updates, it's also security updates are tied in there as well.
Yeah.
I know most people don't read the notes, right? That come out for the games. They're like,
I promise you, they're in there.
Dude,
Yeah,
as a modern gamer, you know what I mean? Like it's funny that you say that, but like as a modern gamer and understanding that things need to be updated, right? And growing up out of the age where video games weren't always connected, to the internet, and seeing, you know what I mean? You before automatic updates were a thing in the console space, right? And turn your Xbox on and oh shoot, I've got an update that I got to push through before I can start playing. And now these games, these consoles are being updated while we sleep. So like we live, thankfully, right? We live in the space where for not everything, but a lot of the stuff, this is being done already because I mean, like it is important, and these big corporations also understand that they want you to continue giving them money, and they can't do that if everybody and their mother is compromised, right? So these updates are exactly like these may already be happening for a lot of our everyday systems, right? And I think it's for the
for better or for
for
worse.
better or for worse. Yep, that is correct. And we don't even have to talk about how updates are great. Right, like I can tell you, I can. Oh, yeah, we don't even have to. We don't have to get into it. Update your stuff. Make sure you got MFA turned on. And that's episode number 1 right there, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in.
Number 1.
That's number 1 right there.
Thank you for listening to the Digital Ascent podcast. Make sure to check us out on Twitter, Discord, and at our website at digitalascent.tech.